Hello and welcome to my predicted paper for this November. This time it's GCSE Maths and it's EDEXCEL Foundation Paper 3. For question 1 we need to write 3/10 as a decimal. To do this, take your calculator and type 3 divided by 10 and that gives you 0.3. For question 2 we need to write down the value of the number 8. Well, the 4 is in the thousands column and the 8 is in the hundreds column. Since it's in the hundreds column, it must be worth 800. For question 3, we need to write these numbers in order. I prefer to write these numbers vertically like this. I can then fill in any missing gaps with zeros. And now compare the numbers in size. If we start with the first column here, we've all got zeros, so they're all the same. Move along to the next column, you'll see 3 of the numbers have a 2, but the third number here has a 0. That means it's the smallest number, so we'll start with 0.02. Now if we move along to the next column, you have a 0 on the top number, then a 2, and the bottom number is also a 0. So the two ones with zeros are our possible contenders, and if you look at the next number after those zeros, the top number has a 2, whereas the bottom number has a 0 again. So the very bottom number here must be the smallest number, 0.200, which in the question was 0.2. Now we have a choice out of these two numbers, and you can see the top number here has a 0 in the hundredths column, whereas the second number has a 2, so the top number must be smaller, so it's 0.202, and finally 0.220. For question 4, we need to write down two multiples of 12. Multiples of 12 are just the numbers in the 12 times table. The only two possibilities here then are 12 and 24. For this question, we need to find the angles x and y. We're told the shape is a parallelogram. Opposite angles in a parallelogram are equal. Since the x is opposite the 72, the x must be equal to 72. Then for part B, angles that are next to each other in a parallelogram add up to 180. So these two angles here add up to 180. We know x is 72 now, so we can do 180 take away 72, which gets you 108. For this question, we need to find the volume of the cuboid. To do this, you multiply the three lengths together. So 20 times 8.5 times 4, which gets you 680. You would also need to write down the units though. The units in this case would be centimeters cubed. In this question, there are 128 coins. We're told that 1/4 of those coins are 50p's. So we need to find 1/4 of 128. To do that, do 128 divided by 4, which gets you 32. This means there are 32 50p coins. We're also told in the question that 77 of the coins are 20p coins, so there are 77 20p coins, and finally the rest of the coins are 10p coins. So if there are 128 coins in total, and then we take away the 32 50p coins, and take away the 77 20p coins, we're left with the 19 10p coins. The question asks us to work out the total value of all of the coins. So we have 32 50p coins, so if we do 32 times 50p, that gets you £16. We've got 77 20p coins, so 77 times 20 pence is £15.40, and 19 10p coins is 19 times 10 pence, which is £1.90. So to get the total value, we add all of these together, and that gets you £33.30. For this question, we need to use our calculator to work out the value of this. It also says write down the full calculator display. So first of all, I'm going to press the fraction button, which is on the top left of the calculator. Then I'll type 6.5. Then I need to press cubed. You can find this in the top left of the calculator here. Then I press the down arrow to get to the bottom of the fraction. Then the square root symbol. Then 20. And then very importantly, I press the right arrow to come out of the square root, and then subtract 2. If I press equals, I'll get this number, which I need to write down the full number as the answer to the question. For part B, we need to round our number from part A to 2 decimal places. So this is the number we got. The second decimal place is the second number after the point, so that's this 8 here. I need to check the number after this though. That's an 8, which tells me I need to round up. So my first 8 will go up to a 9, so it's 111.09. In this question, I need to explain why 55 is not a term in the sequence. you should spot that this sequence is always adding 5. So if we continue the sequence, it will be 32, 37, 42, 47, 52, 57, and you can see we've gone past 55, so clearly 55 cannot be in the sequence. You can also explain this by saying that all of the terms in the sequence end in a 2 or a 7, so it cannot be 55. For the next part of the question, we need to find out which term in the sequence is equal to 77. You can see up here the 27 is the 5th term in the sequence. We then worked out some more terms, so this would be the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th and 11th terms. So we need to keep going until we get to 77. So the next one's 62, 67, 72, 77. So we've now found 77, but which term was it? We went 12th, 13th, 14th and 15th. So 77 is the 15th term. For this part, we need to work out the 8th term of a sequence, where the nth term is 6n plus 4. To do this, we replace the n in here with an 8. So we do 6 lots of n, but n is 8, so 6 times 8 plus 4. 6 times 8 is 48, plus 4 is 52. So the answer is 52. For this question, we're told 3 kilograms of fish cost £13.18. If we then divide £13.18 by 3, we'll find out what 1 kilogram of fish costs. So £13.18 divided by 3 gives you 4.393 recurring. This is the cost of 1 kilogram of fish. So if I times this by 7.5, I'll find out the cost of 7.5 kilograms. So 4.393 recurring times 7.5 gives you 32.95, or £32.95. For this question, I need to reflect this shape. To do so, I'll take some tracing paper. I'll then trace around the shape. I'll then draw the mirror line. I can then take the tracing paper, flip it over, and then line up the mirror line again, and draw where the shape should be. For this question, I need to enlarge the shape by a scale factor 2. I haven't been given a centre of enlargement, so I can draw the shape anywhere on the grid. I notice the left side of the shape is length 3, the base is 2, and the right hand side is also 2. Since it's scale factor 2, all of these will double. So rather than being 3 on the left, it will actually be 6. Rather than being 2 on the base, it will actually be 4. Rather than being 2 up the side, it will actually be 4. And you can probably see where the last line of the shape needs to go. For this question, we need to change 29 kilograms into pounds. I notice the axis at the bottom is in kilograms, so go along until you find 29, and then go straight up from that point until you hit the conversion line. You can then go straight across until you hit the next axis, and read off this value. This value would be 64 pounds. For part B, we're told that a washing machine weighs 13 stones and 2 pounds. We're also given a conversion that 1 stone is 14 pounds. This means that if 1 stone's 14 pounds, 13 stones would be 13 times 14 pounds, which is 182. But the washing machine was 13 stones and 2 pounds, so we need to add 2 pounds to this, which gets you 184 pounds. Now when you look at the pounds axis, unfortunately it doesn't go up to 184, so we need to use a clever trick. I'm going to half 184, which gets me 92. So I'm going to convert 92 instead, and then double my answer. You can see 92 pounds is on that axis. You go across, down, and that reads off at 42 kilograms. So if I now double this, then double 92 pounds is 184 pounds, and double 42 kilograms is 84 kilograms. So the washing machine weighs about 84 kilograms. For this question, I need to draw a straight line graph. I haven't been given a table of value, so I'm going to draw my own. In the question, we're told what the x values need to be. They need to go from -2 to 3. So let's put those in our table and begin to work out some y values. We're going to substitute each of the x values into y equals 3x minus 2. Let's start with -2. So y equals 3 lots of x, which is -2, and then take away 2. This gives you -8. Now on to -1, 3 lots of -1, take away 2. That gives you -5. Then 3 lots of 0 take away 2, that gives you -2. 3 lots of 1 take away 2, that's 1. 3 lots of 2 take away 2 is 4. And finally 3 lots of 3 take away 2 is 7. Now that we have these points, we can plot them as coordinates. Let's start with negative 2, negative 8, which goes here. Then negative 1, negative 5, which goes here. 0, negative 2, which is here. 1, 1, which is here. 2, 4, which is here. And finally 3, 7, which is here. If you've done this correctly, they should form a straight line, so take a ruler and join them up with a straight line. For part B of this question, we need to decide if the point 925 would be on this line. To do that, we're going to substitute 9 into the function to see what we get out. So if we do 3 lots of 9 and then take away 2, 3 lots of 9 is 27, so it's 27 take away 2, which gets you 25, which was the y coordinate. So when you substitute in 9, you do get 25 out, so the answer is yes, this is on the line. For this question, we need to work out how many bacteria were in the sample at 1 PM. If you look at the bottom axis, you can see 1 PM here, so we'll read off the value from the graph, which is here. You need to be very careful in this question though. If you look at the axis, it says the number of bacteria in thousands. So the 1 on this axis doesn't represent 1 bacteria, it represents 1,000. The point on the graph is about halfway down this, so it's about 500. In the next part of the question, we're told the number of bacteria doubles every k hours, and we need to work out the value of k. So I'm going to pick a nice point that I can see on the graph. I can see that at 5 PM, there were 2,000 bacteria. I need to double this because it says in the question it doubles every k hours, so double 2,000 is 4,000. So if I go back from 4,000 and check the time, that's 7 PM. From 5 PM to 7 PM is 2 hours. Since it doubles every k hours, and I found it doubles every 2 hours, k must be equal to 2. For question 15, we have Gail who drives 192 miles in 4 hours and we need to work out average speed. We'll do that using the formula speed equals distance divided by time. The distance is 192 and the time is 4 hours, so 192 divided by 4 gives you 48 miles an hour. In part B of this question, we've been given a conversion that 1 mile is approximately 1.6 kilometers. We need to work out David's speed in miles per hour, but we've been told he travels 54 kilometers per hour. I want to know what we would times 1.6 by to get to 54. To do this, I'll do 54 divided by 1.6, and this comes out as 33.75. So 1.6 times 33.75 gives me 54. If I times by 33.75 on the other side, you get 33.75 miles. So 54 kilometers is roughly the same as 33.75 miles. So 54 kilometers per hour is roughly the same as 33.75 miles per hour. And that's the answer to the question. For part A of this question, we need to find out how far Owen lives away from the park. You can see that as the highest point on this diagram, which is up here at 80, so he lives 80 miles from the park. For part B, we need to know how many minutes he spends at the park. You can see him spending time at the park when we have a horizontal line here. This line starts here, which is at 4 PM, and finishes here at 7 PM. So from 4 PM to 7 PM is 3 hours. The question asks for the time in minutes though, so we need to times this by 60. 3 times 60 is 180 minutes. For part C, we need to find out his average speed on the journey home. So we'll use the formula speed equals distance divided by time. This line here represents his journey home, and it starts here at 7 PM. We know the distance because he lives 80 miles from the park, and the time goes from 7 PM to 9 PM, so that's 2 hours. So 80 divided by 2 is 40, so he travels at 40 miles per hour average speed. For this question, we need to work out the vector a plus 3b. So we'll start with vector a, which is given in the question, and then add 3 lots of the vector b, also given in the question. We'll leave vector a as it is, and now we'll do 3 lots of vector b. So 3 times negative 1 is negative 3, and 3 times 2 is 6. So we need to do 5 plus negative 3, which is 2, and negative 3 plus 6, which is 3. So the answer is 2, 3. For this part of the question, we need to draw a picture for vector a. The vector a is 5, negative 3. The top number tells you to go left or right, and since it's positive, that's right, so it's 5 to the right. And the bottom number tells you to go up or down, and since it's negative, it's 3 down. So let's pick a point and go 5 to the right, and then 3 down. Now we join up these points with a straight line, and mark on an arrow to indicate the direction we went. For this one, we need to do the vector negative 2b. So let's work out what that is first. It's negative 2 lots of the vector b in the question. Negative 2 times negative 1 is positive 2, and negative 2 times positive 2 is negative 4. So this is 2, negative 4. This means we go 2 right and 4 down. So again, let's start with a point. We'll go 2 to the right, then we go 4 down, and draw a line between these, and then mark on an arrow to indicate the direction we went. For this question, I would draw a frequency table first of all for each of the seasons. We're told that 2/5 of the students chose summer. To work out 1/5, you divide by 5, so 300 divided by 5, which gives you 60, but we want 2/5, so we'll times this by 2 to get 120. So 120 students chose summer. We were also told that 50 chose autumn, so we can put that straight into the table, and the same number chose spring as chose winter. So if we've got 120 and 50 students so far, that's 170, and in the question we're told there's 300 total, so 300 take away 170 leaves us with 130 students to go. Since spring and winter are the same, we can divide 130 by 2 to get 65. So spring and winter are both 65. If you add up all of these students, you'll get 300 as your total frequency. And to draw a pie chart of this, I do 360 degrees divided by 300, which gets you 1.2. This means each of the students represents 1.2 degrees. So I can multiply all of the frequencies by 1.2 to get my angles. This gives you angles of 78, 144, 60, and 78. Now I'll take my protractor and begin to draw this. So place your protractor here with the 0 at the top, and I'll go around to my first angle, which is 78 degrees, using the outside scale. I'll mark this on, then take my protractor off and draw a straight line through that cross to the edge of the pie chart. I should label this section as well, that one was spring. Now I take my protractor and place it back on again, but line up the 0 with the line I just drew. I'll go around to my second angle, so that's 144 degrees. I'll mark that with a cross, take the protractor off, and then draw a line through this cross. I should label this section, that was summer. I'll put my protractor on again, line up the 0 with the line I just drew, and go around for the next angle, this one's 60 degrees. Take it off, draw on that line, and label the section, that's autumn. The final section is winter. You can measure this one if you want, but if you've drawn it accurately, your winter one should be 78 degrees, just make sure you label it. For this question, I need to work out the mean from a table. Since I have group data, I'm going to need to find the midpoints. The midpoint from 10 to 20 minutes is 15. The midpoint from 20 to 30 is 25. From 30 to 40 is 35. And 40 to 50 is 45. I now times all of these midpoints by the frequencies. So 15 times 1 is 15. 25 times 8 is 200. 35 times 6 is 210. And 45 times 5 is 225. If I now add up this final column here, I get the total amount of time spent revising, that's 650, and I just need to divide it by the total students. You could add up the frequency column, but we were already told in the question there were 20 students. So 650 divided by 20 gives you 32.5 minutes. For this question, I need to make k the subject. This means I need to write it so it says k equals. So if we write the formula out, the first thing I would do is deal with the negative m by adding m to both sides. If you add it to the right hand side, the m's will cancel, so you get 4k. If you add m to the left hand side, you just get p plus m. Then I'll deal with the 4. This is 4 times k, so I'll do divide by 4. 4k divided by 4 is just k, and then divide by 4 on the other side, you get p plus m, divide by 4. Now it says k equals, so I've got it in the right format, I'll just write the k at the front, so k equals p plus m over 4. For this question, we've got two sets of traffic lights. The probability that the first one is red is 0.6. This means the probability it's not red is 1 take away 0.6, which is 0.4. We'll do the same for the second light. The probability this one's red is 0.2, so 1 take away 0.2 gives you 0.8 as the probability it's not red. We can now fill all of this in onto the tree diagram. So we've got 0.6 for red on the first light, we know it's 0.4 for not red. And now on the second set of lights, we know it's 0.2 for red, and 0.8 for not red, and we would repeat this at the bottom, 0.2 and 0.8. We're asked to work out our probability that both sets of lights are red. So this is going along the top and going red for the first light and red for the second light. We times these probabilities together, so 0.6 for the first one and 0.2 for the second one, and this gives you 0.12. For this question, we need to work out something in standard form. Since this is paper free and you have your calculator, I would just type this into your calculator like this. So an open bracket, 3.9 times 10 to the power 9, then press the right arrow to get out of that power and close the bracket, then times bracket 6.2 times 10 to the power negative 13, and then close that bracket. Then press equals. Now, depending on the mode of your calculator, you may end up with a number in standard form like this. You could convert that to an ordinary number, or you can do it like this with your calculator. Press Shift, and then Menu Setup, press 3 to change the number format, then 3 again for norm, and then select 2. The result of this is if you press the SD button here, it will now show you that as a decimal, so 0.002418. For part B of this question, we need to write the ratio m to n. Let's convert these to ordinary numbers first. So m is 4 times 10 squared, which is just 4 times 100, so 400, and n is 3.5 times 10 to the negative 1. So we need to move all of those digits one place to the right, so 0.35. So the ratio is 400 to 0.35. We don't normally write ratios with decimals in though, so we need to get this so it's got integers. To do this, I'm going to times both sides by 100. If I times the left by 100, I get 40,000. If I times the right by 100, I get 35. Now we can simplify this. Both of these divide by 5. 40,000 divided by 5 is 8,000, and 35 divided by 5 is 7. So the answer is 8,000 to 7. For this question, I need to work out the volume of the cylinder. The formula is the volume equals pi r squared h. So we'll do pi times the radius squared, the radius is 4, so that's 4 squared, times the height, and the height is 10. If you type this into your calculator, you'll get 502.65 centimeters cubed. Now Hannah says the volume of the cylinder is greater than 5 meters cubed. 1 meter cubed is equal to 1 million centimeters cubed. So 5 meters cubed, which Hannah is saying, is equal to 5 million centimeters cubed. Hannah thinks the volume of this cylinder is greater than that, but the volume is only 500. That's nowhere near 5 million. So Hannah is wrong, as 502.65 centimeters cubed is actually a lot less than 5 million centimeters cubed. You need to be careful in this question. Some people may think the conversion is times 100, but that's when you're dealing with lengths, not volumes. For this question, we have 3 similar triangles. We need to work out the length of DF. So if we look at the 2 smaller triangles here, we need to work out the scale factor. We can do that by considering what we multiply 10 by to get to 15. If you do 15 divided by 10, you'll get 1.5. So the scale factor in this question is 1.5. So if we take the 18 from the smallest triangle and times that by 1.5, we find the length of DF, which is 27. For the next part of this question, we need to work out the angle GHI, which is this angle here. Since these shapes are similar, the angles will be the same. So the 29 degrees you can see in the smallest triangle is the same as this angle here. We know the right angle is 90 degrees, and we know the angles in a triangle add up to 180. So if we do 180 take away 90 take away 29, we find GHI is 61 degrees. In this question, we're told 60 students were late and 40 students who were not late were in year 12. Both of these bits of information are already on the frequency tree. We're also told the ratio of students who were late to students who were not late is 1 to 2. So the ratio for those that were late to not late is 1 to 2. If you look at the frequency tree, you can see that there were 60 students who were late, so let's write that underneath late. So this ratio has been times by 60. So we do 2 times 60 to get 120. So 120 students were not late. We can add that to the frequency tree. We are also told the ratio of year 12 students who were late to the year 13 students who were late is 3 to 2. So year 12s who were late to year 13s who were late is the ratio 3 to 2. If we construct a table like this and add a total column, there are 3 parts and 2 parts, so that's 5 parts, and we know the total of all late students is 60. So how do we get from 5 to 60? Well, we times by 12. So let's do 3 times 12 and 2 times 12 to get 36 for year 12s who were late, and 24 for year 13s who were late. So we can add this to the frequency tree. So 36 year 12s are late, and 24 year 13s were late. We can now fill in the rest of the frequency tree. This 40 here, plus whatever number goes here, must make 120. So 120 take 40 gives you 80. So the year 13s that were not late is 80. And this 60 here plus this 120 here must make the total of all students, which goes here. So 120 add 60 is 180. Thank you for watching this video, I hope you found it useful. Check out some suggested grade boundaries from what they were in the summer, and check out what I think you should watch next and subscribe so you don't miss out on future videos.